So, folks, greetings of the day. I'm Shashank, and I'm going to walk you through Amazon Bedrock. Likewise, I'm going to answer first the very primary question. If I want to build an application, a GenAI application, then you can build and scale GenAI application using Amazon Bedrock. What is this Bedrock all about? We are going to talk about it. We are going to understand the key features about it and a quick demonstration at the end. Now, before we get started, in the slides, I want you to take you on a quick whiteboarding and help you understand what is this Bedrock all about. Okay, give me a second and we'll get started. Cool. So think about you are a insurance company. If you are an insurance company, this is your website. Okay, this is your website, and there are hundreds and thousands of active customers. These customers are going to come to my website and they're going to ask me, hey buddy, I have bought a new car. How to create an insurance claim, or how do I enroll my car and get my policy done, right? What if in case accident happens, how to initiate a claim? Once I create a claim, what is the status of the claim? Yeah. And then whenever you're raising a claim, you need to give documents, right? So what will be your documents when you have bought a new car? That is, the car belongs to you, which is ownership of your car, right? You will have to give, when you purchase a car, your policy purchase documents, as well as what you need to have. You need to have is a valid driving license, DL, right? So these are the three things which we'll ask you. And if in case of you met an accident, we'll ask you pictures of your vehicle which has met the accident. We'll ask you the scene, what happened, what went wrong, and so on, right? Okay. So all these
Right.
things, yep,
Go on. Yeah.
yeah, all these things, the agents, the human agents are responding to you. Assume you
Mhm.
have 1 CR customers out there, and these 1 CR customers, right? These 1 CR customers are handled by only hundreds of agents. So, do you think we would be able to scale further? At one point of time, definitely not. So, what we are going to do?
Right.
We are going to add something which is called as virtual agents. Virtual agents, what they will do? When I ask, what is the process of creating a policy? What kind of insurance premiums you have? These all things are there in the documentation, but I cannot tell the customer, hey, go and read that, right? So what these
Right.
virtual agents will do, they will answer the very basic queries which are related to onboarding the customer. Also, when I say I want to create a claim, right? So at that time, what is the documents needed? It could be answered by my virtual agent. What is the
So
status of
Shashank,
my claim?
I'll
Yes.
just I'll just
Yeah.
stop you there. So I'm just thinking this has been
Yep.
there for quite some time, right? So
Yep. Yep.
we have chatbots and all for
Yep.
several years,
Yep. Yep.
and I'm guessing you are trying to tell me that Gen
Yep.
AI and your
Yep.
services are going to help me. So
Yep.
what's the difference? How was
Yes.
it different like 5 years ago? Because the agents had help then also. So
Yep.
how is it different now?
Yep. The basic primary difference would be that's where exactly I was coming there. That majorly earlier it was like if I ask something, it used to
Hmm.
respond me back. It may give me some detailed steps that hey, you can troubleshoot, you can do this, you can go here, you can go there, and so
Right.
on. But now these agents, they can create a claim, which means there will be a claim ID. There will be a
Okay.
claim which is created in your Dynamo database or in the database, whatever you choose, right? There will be an entry done automatically. Plus, the status of the claim will be open. Also, it will send you a reminder for the documents until your window period is not closed, right? And once, if in case I need anything else, it will mark those things that, hey, Shashank has given the driving license. The car belongs to him. The images of the car, accident has met, the number plate of the car, it belongs to Shashank, the driving license belongs to Shashank, policy also is in valid date, and the ticket is having sufficient documents to be given to a human agent for them to process. Till that level, all those things can be automated.
So are you
And
saying
that's
Bedrock will do all of this? So my entire business workflow can be done, can be offloaded to Bedrock, and it will do all of this?
using agents, we'll try to maximize things and we'll try to do
Okay.
as many things as possible with minimum lines of code. And that's what I'm
Sounds
going to
awesome.
introduce you today. Yeah. Does that help?
Great. Yes, that
Okay.
helps. And I would love
Cool.
to go into more details as well. Yeah.
Surely. Thank you. Thanks, Bana. Okay. So, folks, when I was saying that we are going to use something called as virtual agents, you will ask me immediately, These virtual agents, where am I going to host it? Where am I going to run it? Right? So when am I
Hmm.
going to host my model? Who is going to handle the infrastructure and so on? And
Right.
out of so many models, right? We have 40 plus models available. We have 7 plus models provided there. How do I wrap my head around it? That would be something which is coming across your mind, definitely, right? Yep. So all I am going to say is that your models will be hosted on our one of services, which is called as Amazon Bedrock. Okay, it is serverless infrastructure, so you do not have to worry about the infrastructure. It is a managed service, and let's see on screen what it can do it for you. And we'll come again off slides once again very shortly. Okay, cool, Parna, so far. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what you're telling
Yeah.
me is Bedrock has its own set of machine learning models or foundational models, what we call, and I can pick and choose any of those models for my tasks. I know you
Yep.
gave me an example, and are you telling
Yes.
me that I can pick and choose and I can change their features, everything
Yes.
to suit my task? Okay, that sounds
Uh,
great.
yeah. I'll try to reframe that. We'll try
Hmm.
to cover as much as we can, and we'll
Sure.
try to meet your use cases. I would refrain from using the word everything and be done. So let's
Right.
go slide by slide and try to cover that, and I'll try to ensure that we cover your queries by end of the session today.
Sure.
Cool.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Parna, and keep those questions coming. I appreciate that. Okay, folks. So when we are talking about generative AI to the customers, the very first question comes to us is: so many models are available out there.
Yeah.
Which one should I use? Right?
Hmm.
What is best suited as per my application? So we need to do is use case evaluation. We need to understand that depending upon my use case, I can reduce it down from 40 to 3 to 1, and that's how you can choose down to, or narrow down to a model of your choice. Okay.
So Shashank,
Second,
I have a
yeah,
question. So you
yeah,
said I can
yeah,
choose, but is this a manual
yeah.
effort where I have to choose a model, or there is something within Bedrock which will help me to evaluate or pick and choose? Because as I said, I want to be really quick, right? So I don't really have the team who's going to be doing that. So can does
Yep.
Bedrock help me with that?
Yes, we have a feature which is called as a playground, wherein you can, select the models of your choice depending upon whether you want to do a text, whether you want to do a video, or you want to, create any application. What we are doing is we are giving you the playground. You select the model of your choice. So if I'm doing a prompt and I want to compare the
Okay.
output of model one with the second one, you can do that as well. And I'll
Awesome.
cover that in the upcoming slides. Yeah. So
Great.
I'll take that up there. Okay, cool. So this is where we are going to help you out. Apart from that, we are going to help you quickly build and deploy your GenAI applications. And lastly, the very important question: is
Yes.
my data safe? Is my application safe? So we are going to cover that in one of the slides, and that's where I'm going to introduce you to Amazon Bedrock without further ado in the upcoming slide. So what did I say? Amazon Bedrock, it helps you to build and scale generative AI applications, right? So we are letting you select the models just within a single API. So basically, we are not taking you out from your development environment. You can integrate the model of your choice within a single API. Okay. Now, once you choose a model from those 40 to 3 to 1, the model of your choice, you say, hey, this model fits my use case. This models are trained large amount of data in past. What if I start using it today? You will be like, I want to customize it. So at that time, customization comes into picture, and we are going to
Okay.
talk about the prompts. We are going to talk about RAG and all those things out there, right? So
Okay.
I'll take that up word by word in the upcoming slides. Apart from that, I did show you there would be some agents, insurance website. Small things can be broken down. Complex tasks can be broken down into small tasks. Agents can execute those multiple steps for you. Fine.
Okay.
And lastly,
Sounds
we'll
good.
cover about security. We'll ensure that privacy and safety things are being done, and a little about pricing before we say goodbye. Cool.
Okay, great. So
Okay.
I just have a
Yeah.
question out
Sure.
here. So
Yeah.
you've said over here that we can
Yeah.
choose leading foundation models and
Yep.
we can query it using a single API. So does that
Yep.
mean that it must be supporting a lot of SDKs, right? Because we have mobile applications which have
Yep.
Android and OS
Yeah.
SDKs. We have Java
Yeah.
applications. So does it
Yeah.
support all of that? So I just build my application and
Yeah.
hit a query. That's all
Yeah.
we have to do.
Yeah. So basically, if I say I'm a Python developer, so all I do is I go to the developer guide of Bedrock and I see the language
Okay.
of if it is in Python. I see what all
Okay.
APIs are available there, and I just invoke them. And you can invoke and you can start interacting with Bedrock. All you have to
Okay.
do is just initiate the client and start talking with it, interactive. Yeah,
Great. So basically, I'll just have a few lines of code where I'll mention which model I want to use, and there's just going to be
model
an
ID.
endpoint.
Yep,
That's great.
yep,
That's
yep.
quick and that's helpful. Thanks,
Yeah,
Shashank. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Cool. Okay. So while I was saying that large number of leading FM models, right? I did say that we have 40 plus models, 7 plus
Hmm.
model providers there. So those model providers are AI21 Labs, Cohere is there, Anthropic is there, Amazon Titan family is there. Knowledge of these things is good to have. You don't have to worry about it. I'm presenting the slide in front of you, but I honestly say if I'm going to create a chat application, then I'm going to use something which is called as Anthropic Claude, right? If my application is chatty in nature, then it is Anthropic Claude. If I'm
Okay.
generating an image, then I may use Titan or I may use Stability Diffusion one out there, right? So you
Okay.
can select based on your use case. We do not have to remember this. These number of models they keep on coming. All we
Hmm.
have to understand is what's my use case, which model suits in 4321, use a playground, and zero down on the model of your choice.
So you're saying
Yeah.
that each of these models have a specialty, and I can just refer to your documentation and select based on my use case.
Yes.
And the playground is it like a user interface where
Yes.
I can just try out an experiment? Is that what
Yes.
you're saying?
You can.
Without actually
Yes.
building a full-fledged application? That's great.
Exactly. So you would be able to experiment, you will be able to deploy, iterate, pivot quickly, and then you can fix onto your model of your choice. Yeah. So
Sounds
that's
nice.
what it
Yeah.
is. Yeah. Cool. Okay. So while these number of models of providers are there, likewise I said, knowledge of Amazon Titan is good to have, right? So these are our this is a family of our own Amazon title. So we call it as 1P providers, and the rest ones apart from Amazon, they are third party providers. Those 3P models, 1P or 3P models, all of these models can be accessed via a single endpoint, so you do not have to worry about it. Each model is carefully trained on doing certain particular task, right? So select according to the capabilities, their price, and performance. One advantage of using Amazon Titan is we indemnify customers against the claims that our models, and if their outputs they're infringing anyone's copyright, they will be taken care of. Okay, that's a key differentiator here. So I want you to go and check what did I speak about, right? So any output which is created by the Titan model, right, if it is infringing anyone's copyright, will be ensuring that you are covered. Okay, so
So I
just
have
go
a
and check it out.
question
Yeah,
again here.
yeah,
So
yeah,
all these models, so I
yeah,
am going to provide my
yeah,
input and my
yeah,
prompts, and it's
yeah,
going to generate something for me. So is
yeah.
that input and output actually going to be used to retrain all these models, including Titan or any of that?
A very, very good question. Once again, I'll say your data is safe with you. It's never going
Okay.
to leave the region where your API is being processed. Whenever you are
Okay.
going to train a model, we are going to create a private container of that model, and only you have a secure access to it. So we are not using your data, not your
Okay.
prompts. Nothing is being used to train our models or those third-party model providers there. Okay, so your data is
Great.
safe, right? And I'll cover
All
that
right.
in the security once again. Cool.
Amazing.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks, Bana. So now, just moving on, while we talked about large number of model providers out there, you can evaluate those models either automatically or either using a human evaluation report. On your screen, you see there are two kinds of evaluations can be done. If you're doing something which is called as automatic evaluation, right, you have something which is called as accuracy, toxicity, robustness. These are predefined metrics based on which you can evaluate. Now, you say, I want to have a subjective criteria. I want to have evaluation where humans are needed. You can bring your own team or you can ask AWS so as to leverage, skilled evaluators on your behalf. Likewise, you see on the screen, there's a Likert metrics where you can measure against any question. It should be strongly agree, neutral, disagree, or strongly disagree, right? You can bring in your own data sets or you can use the curated data sets which are being provided by us. You can even have you can have a predefined metrics of yours like brand relevancy, style, and alignment to your brand voice. Okay, so you can do all these things as a part of model evaluation in Bedrock, and that will help
Okay.
you zero down to this is the model of my choice and this is working for me.
That
So
sounds
far so
really
good.
great. Yeah.
Yeah,
But what about the model's performance? So I have my
yeah,
application. Can I see all those metrics in CloudWatch too? Is Bedrock integrated with CloudWatch? So I
yes,
know you
yes,
told me about the model evaluation metrics,
yep,
but
yep,
actually the performance metrics also I should be able to see, right, in
yes,
CloudWatch?
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
that's good.
yes. So we right away show it as a part of playground also, and you can measure it, and you can have your custom metrics as well. Yeah.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Okay. Now, once you selected the model of your choice, what you would
Mhm.
like to do? You would be like,
Yeah.
I want this model to make it work for me, right?
Of course, yeah, that's what. It's because it's all general data, right, Shashank? It
Yep.
may not do my work. What if I
Exactly.
have a whole lot of business documents and I want it to give answers curated
Based.
for my employees or my customers? How can I
Yep.
do that, right?
Yep.
Please
Yep.
tell me
Yep.
what are the ways I can do that.
Sure. Sure. So before I begin there, I'll just introduce people, folks, everyone, small things, and then I'll take you there where you're asking how do I integrate with enterprise data sources. Okay, cool. So firstly, we are going to customize a model to make the model work for me. Yeah. So first would be prompt engineering. In your previous sessions, we did talk about prompt. When I'm asking something to the model, it's a question which I'm asking, it's a prompt which I'm asking in a natural language, right? So what would be prompt engineering? You're asking the GenAI solutions so as to generate a desired solution for you.
Hmm.
Apart from that, what you can do is you can use RAG. This is a travel augmented generation. This is where Perna, your answer comes in now. That you want
Hmm.
the model to answer beyond its capabilities. You want it
Right.
to, integrate enterprise data sources there. You want to bring in the company data and make the model answer it accordingly. At that time, RAG comes into picture. Cool.
Okay.
I'll come there into REG in depth once again. Just let me cover the next two part of this customizing one, and I'll show it to you
Okay.
in action by doing it on whiteboarding. Okay.
Okay.
Cool. Okay.
Cool.
So REG is done. Now we did in the previous sessions about fine tuning. So if I'm in an insurance domain and if I want to automate a model to check, have I taken multiple insurance in the past? Am I a fraudulent customer who raises multiple bogus claims together? Based on that, do I want to take automatic evaluation of the claim, yes and no, or give a metrics to it that possibly he's a scam? In such points, when I want to tune a model to do a particular task well, you are doing is fine tuning. Okay. And
Okay.
when you want your general model to pick up the lingo in the insurance domain, like your claims is there, like your insurance related some terms are there. In health we say go and go to your TPA for getting your insurance done and so on. So when you want your model to pick up the lingo, you're going to do is continuous pre-training. That is done. Train your model with non-labeled data sets. Cool. Now
Okay.
you'll be like, I want to create a model of my own choice. It will go on extreme right, which means your complexity, your quality, your cost and time, everything will increase. So what is the best way forward? Pick a model which suits your use case and customize it. So what am I going to talk about now? I'm going to talk about RAG in action. Does that
So
help so far?
Shashank,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
just want to
yeah,
clarify my
yeah,
understanding. So these are the
yeah,
four ways that you've given of
yeah,
doing customization, right? So in
yep,
prompt engineering, I will be having curated prompts and provide the
yep,
context in my prompt. So the quality
yes,
of my prompt will determine the output, right?
yes,
And I
yes,
guess in your RAG,
yep,
we have an external source that I'm going to
yes,
attach to my
yeah,
application and it's going to pick
yeah,
up from context there.
true that,
And if I'm not wrong, in fine
yeah,
tuning, we are actually going to provide labeled
label
information
data sets, yes,
and
yes,
labeling, as we had when I had consulted Ashish, he
yeah,
had mentioned that
yeah,
labeling is where you're mapping
yeah,
input to output. So we're literally
yes.
training the model
This
and saying, hey, if this comes, this is the output. If you see a dog,
cats
which will
and
be like
dog,
a
cat and dog.
okay.
Yep,
And
yep,
the last one, continued pre-training,
yeah.
I believe it is unlabeled data and it's a whole
Unlabeled
lot
data
of
sets.
data.
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
so
yes,
I'm just a
yes.
little confused. Like,
Yeah.
when do I choose between fine tuning and continued pre-training? Because both of them are is essentially training, right? So how do
Yeah.
I know when to use what, and is there any benefit between them or difference?
Per my experience, I would select fine tuning only when I want a model to excel in a certain particular task. Okay.
Okay.
So, for example, if it's only related to claims, right, I want to improve the accuracy of the claims which is being done and so on. So, at that time, I'll give it a label data set and I'll try to train my model and increase that accuracy. But, like as
Okay.
I said, if I want a particular lingo, I wanted to understand the generic terms. For example, the model is trained just on, understanding the insurance. But if I want FSI and insurance, or if I want health insurance terms specifically to understand, it's better to go for continuous pre-training,
Okay.
and it gives you much more better results than the
Okay.
previous options out there.
So fine tuning is for a specific small task and small amount
Small
of
task,
data, and I'm guessing for continued pre-training
yeah.
there will be a diverse data set, and of course you cannot
Unlabeled
keep
data
on
sets,
labeling it so much, right? That
unlabeled
time
data
I'll go for.
sets.
Yeah.
unlabeled data sets, and making the model to adapt it.
A
Yep.
little more generic. Okay,
Yep.
makes sense.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
thanks for
Cool.
that.
Yeah. No worries. So now I'll quickly run you through about, just give me a second. I'll quickly run you through what is this REG all about, right? So just a second. Too much of juggling there. Okay. So if I say about REG, right? So what did we say that these models are trained way back in past. Okay. So what are we going to do is I am going to connect my enterprise sources or enterprise data sources, which means what? Whatever data is coming in, right? It will be broken down. For example, if it is a PDF, I bought a new car and the car's invoice is there, and any other documents which I'm ingesting into my S3, I'll break it down into tiny, tiny parts, which is called as chunking. From there, then, I'll convert. If you would have heard in way back in past, embedding.
Hmm.
Ashish did talk about embedding, right? So we are going to do embedding, and then we are going to store it in something which is called as vector source. And that vector source, assume as of now, if we are selecting as open search serverless or something else, perfectly fine. Once you store it, right, now what you do is, for example, Parna, you are in Paris
Hmm.
right now. Okay,
I
Paris
wish.
has 100 100 Paris had 100 restaurants around Eiffel Tower. Yes. Now the
Hmm.
model was trained using this 100 restaurants. Okay. So when you're
Okay.
asking certain question, right, when you're asking certain question, model is able to understand those 100. But now what you said, I am adding the data, so I want the 101 restaurant also to be included in there, right? Yes.
Right.
Okay, makes sense. But the model
Right.
won't be able to do it because it's cut off from internet. What did I say?
So
Your
this is
data is within your
additional
VPC.
knowledge that we are
Yes, we are
augmenting. So
giving it.
that's where retrieval augmented. So that
Coming.
augmentation part is this what you're talking
Yes,
about,
yes.
right? Where we
I'm
are
I'm coming there.
adding. Okay,
Yes, I'm
got it.
coming there. We are adding something to the user's input and we are making more
Right.
context. Yeah. So basically,
Bringing more
when you are
context. Yes.
asking any question, hey, show me the restaurants, show me those restaurants in Paris, right? So whatever is your query, we are searching in our knowledge bases, plus whatever this data we have it here, we are searching it there. Your user input plus that query is being augmented, then it is given to the model, and then model gives you a response. And that's how retrieval augmented generation works.
Okay, so
Does
the
that make
retrieval
sense?
part is where it's retrieving from this vector database or vector source that you're talking about, right?
And adding that
Augmenting it,
context.
yeah, and what it returns back to you, that is what you're augmenting or you're adding to already the query that is there,
This
and
was
then
a
finally,
query. I added
yes,
something to the query, and then I'm
and
passing it to the model, and
and
then it
that's
is
where it's
generating a response.
generating your thing. Makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah.
So earlier it was only able to respond from 100. Now it is able
Hmm.
to respond from 101, and it's able to understand the restaurant which you were looking out for.
Okay, so basically, I did not actually go and manipulate the learning of my model. I just augmented it, or I'm adding to its intelligence, right? It's like a
It's it's
cheat code
it's
somebody is giving you from the side. You study for an exam and you just know that much, and somebody's giving you a little more.
it's
Okay, makes
it's it's
sense.
it's it's all about customization and making it work outside its capabilities. Yeah, connecting our enterprise data sources, right? Now,
Okay.
while I was saying, right, you need to do all these things. You'd be
Hmm.
like, buddy, I don't have this much resources to do this for me. I don't know what kind of data is coming in. I won't be sitting and doing this chunking, breaking down into small, small things, then
Yeah.
doing the embeddings, right? And then selecting the vector source of my type. So
Right.
this is what I was saying is all about RAG, right? But now
Hmm.
I want someone just to reduce the complexity for me. I want it to be managed service for me. So for that,
Okay.
what we will come across a service of Amazon, which is called as knowledge bases for Amazon Bedrock.
So this is completely managed. I don't have to manage the infrastructure of that vector database that you're talking about. It's
Exactly. So
completely
I'll come
integrated,
there. I'll
right?
come there. So what is knowledge base going to ask you? Hey Shashank, where is the data stored? So right now my data stored is in S3. So this is where my data is coming in. So whenever you are
Okay.
uploading my insurance claims, new purchase, accident you met, you're adding images, everything will be in an S3 bucket. That is my input source. Right?
Okay.
Second thing, it will ask me is what kind of models we are going to use. Right? What kind of models we are going to use for embedding, right? After that it will ask me, once I created those vectors, where am I going to store? So basically, vector stores, where am I going to store it, right? So
Okay.
where you will store it, you will store it in your open search. Then you will say, hey buddy, I don't have this, or I am already doing it on Atlas, right? I have my MongoDB Atlassian. So I want it to be on MongoDB. They will go on MongoDB as well. I'm sorry for this.
So there are
Okay.
other options also, Shashank, what you're saying,
Yes.
apart from open
Yeah.
search.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. MongoDB is there. Then apart from that, we are adding more and more databases like our own DynamoDB and few other databases of Amazon. I'll run you through that on our slides. So we are
Okay.
allowing you to integrate your own ones.
So this intelligence part of where the conversion happens of the data into embeddings or vectorization, that I don't
Yeah.
have to manage it. I just have to say that this is the embeddings model I want to use, and
Yep.
it'll all happen internally. It will do the conversion.
Yep.
And are you saying I can go and upload all sorts of data like PDFs, CSVs, text, and any sort of these can be handled? Is
There are
that
few
fine for
supported
knowledge
data.
base?
Yeah, there are few supported databases. So I would
Okay.
say PDF, safe to say yes. Few other
Yes.
ones, I'll have to check and get back to you on that. Right. So I'll
Great.
park that as of now. But yeah, there are
Okay.
few document types which are being allowed, right, in the
Okay.
knowledge base. But now if you say, Shashank, I want to upload an image there, you will have to create a
Hmm.
multimodal one. It won't work here.
Got
Okay.
it. Makes
So it
sense.
works only with few extensions out there. So
Hmm.
once you get into S3, right, it will ask you chunking. Chunking is breaking down a document into tiny tiny pieces. So
Hmm.
basically in chunking earlier there was something which was called as fixed size chunking. You break it down into tokens of around 300 tokens, right? Okay. Then there was something which is options which are given is called as hierarchical one, right? Hierarchical one is like a parent and child. Okay. So for example, Indian IPC, you ask someone, hey, what is this section? They will say IPC dhara number this, section number this, subsection number this, right? In Bible also, in the religious books, we have is like chapter, then we have is sections, subsections, and so on, right? So
Okay.
if I ask, hey, can you tell me, according to Indian Penal Code or according to this particular law, can you tell me, what will happen if I do something wrong? I don't want
Hmm.
you to say section, subsection, and overwhelm me. I just want you to give me a gist of it, right? So at that time, hierarchical one comes into picture. So it
Okay.
will, it will break down. So it's good to have at that particular point of time. Then there is something which is called a semantic one. So breaking down of long inputs into based on meaning of the words, you will go for semantic one. Now, one of my customer is doing is something like they want to break down lines of code into functions, right? So based on functions, they want to break it. So they are doing something which is called as custom chunking. And now you will say, hey, bro, my data is already chunked. I don't want you to do chunking. So at that time, you can select one document and you can say, this is already chunked, right? So these
Okay.
all options, they are available, made available to your knowledge base. And you don't have to get overwhelmed. It's a console. It will ask you these things. You just fill it within 4 clicks, you're sorted,
Great.
right? Yeah.
Okay, so
So
this
that is
chunking is very similar to like how you tokenize. Chunking is like breaking down the document into smaller parts, right?
Yep,
If I
breaking
understand.
down into small parts, and
Okay.
then we are doing them embedding, and based on the
Hmm.
distance, it's just like I bought a new iPhone 15 or iPhone 16, right? So if I look for iPhone HD wallpapers, 16 wallpapers, right? So it shows me the same wallpapers which are matching to iPhone HD. How does it understand? It understands because the document is broken down into tiny tiny parts. Embedding is done. We understand that for iPhone 15, Shashank is looking for this wallpaper only, and that's how the relevant searches come, right?
Okay.
So that's the
Okay.
reason chunking is done, so that we store it in embedding and vectors. Cool. So
Okay.
far so good.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
So all I said was a rag was needed for customizing it to connect to enterprise data sources, and from there, then we are going to introduce you to knowledge base, right? Okay. Cool.
Okay.
Now
Cool.
I'll proceed towards the slides once back again. Fine. So moving on further, what did I say? Managed RAG is knowledge bases out there. You can securely connect your enterprise data sources there. Okay. It's a fully managed workflow. I don't have sufficient amount of people and so on. It has inbuilt session context management for multi-intern conversations. Like for example, I'm using it for booking holiday tickets. I'm going,
Hmm.
for example, today's date is 19th, and I have an upcoming ticket or I'm upcoming trip to Mumbai on 21st, right? And 21st to 23rd was my ticket, but I want to stretch it by one day. So if I'm connected to the agent, I don't have to say, hey, I'm Shashank, hey, I'm this, hey, I'm that. If I say, can you stretch my ticket to one more day, right? It will do it
Right.
automatically because it knows that conversation which is done in the past. It has that context and it helps you for
Okay.
such multi-turn conversations. Okay,
So you mean the
fine.
previous context is also retained, and
You
is this
can,
something
you can.
similar to chain of thoughts? It retains whatever it has done, and it knows
Uh,
what else to do with the previous
I,
information that
I,
was given. So I don't have to
I,
repeat it. No, what I mean
I,
to say is,
yeah,
uh,
yeah. So basically, it
Okay.
remembers my memory. In memory, it remembers, what I have asked, what I have communicated in the past,
Right.
and based on that, it can take, actions. So that's one of the great ways to, leverage it there. Yeah.
Okay.
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 And the last one, basically, if I say, how do I raise an insurance? It responds back along with the link. Here is from where I got this data. So basically, it is adding source of truth. So it says, I'm not hallucinating. I brought it from your enterprise data source only, and this is a
Okay.
link, right? So
Okay.
that's how it improves, the trustworthiness, or I would say, reducing the hallucinations and showing you the transparency. Cool.
Right.
So just running you through, in RAG, we saw that complex diagrams which I created. Now,
Hmm.
whenever user is asking something, it is going to hit a Bedrock. Bedrock will bring it into knowledge bases for Bedrock. We'll check for the data there. We'll add that to your user query, that is augmented prompt. And from there, it will go to the models. As of now, these are the models available in the embedding. And then it will generate the response for you. That is the answer,
Got
right?
it.
So I
Got it.
said it will ask you only a few questions, which is there on the screen, right?
Hmm.
It is asking you very few questions, which would base where is S3 bucket. Second, it is going to ask you about chunking, which I explained, hierarchical, semantic, and fixed chunking options, right? Okay. Then I said you can customize chunking. That is one of my customers I told you about, breaking down by functions, right? It can parse PDF, which I told you safely it can be done, right? Okay.
Right.
And it can break down a complex query into small, small subqueries, and it can generate relevant information out for you, okay, for a
Right.
final answer, right?
Right.
And for
Right.
the people out there, I'll say go and look for what is responsible AI policies. It is good to know. That will help you out to understand further. Okay.
Okay.
Now, while I said input was only primarily S3, we have these four which are available there. Uh, as of now, till last date, when I saw it in the console, they still show preview. I did try about the web crawler. Web crawler is you can send a crawler to your static website. You can index the data as your input. So we know that you have data sources apart from S3. So you can go and send it as a web crawler, right? And you can
Okay.
get the data. If you have Atlassian Confluence you're using for your ticketing purpose and all, you can go and check it out
Right.
there and bring the data there. If your data is stored on SharePoint, you can get it from there as well. And Salesforce, for if I said about insurance or car, right? So if I bought a car,
Okay.
if I had an intent to buy a car, all my life cycle, it can be found there. You can stitch all the data, bring it in, and you can ingest that in your knowledge base.
That's awesome. So that means even third-party
Yep,
SaaS providers can be integrated. That's great.
yep, 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 yep. Okay. So moving on to the next one then. Likewise, I said OpenSearch was, one of the services which I was talking about. Then I did say OpenSearch serverless as well. Then I
Hmm.
did talk about you can connect it to Enterprise Redis. You can connect it not only to Enterprise Redis, but Atlassian MongoDB. Apart from that, all other NoSQL databases which are there on the screen, they are being added slowly and gradually. So these
Okay.
are the
So
vector
relational databases also are there. So I can
also
see
there.
Aurora. Yeah,
Yes,
RDS.
yes,
Okay, that's
yes,
awesome. Okay.
yes, yes. So that's where I was coming in from. Not only
Hmm.
external, our relational and non-relational databases are there, and we are adding these capabilities for you to store the vectors, and this
Okay.
keeps on upgrading. Yeah. So keep an eye on it. Yep.
Sure. Sure.
Cool. Okay.
Okay.
Moving
That
on.
really makes sense.
Yeah.
So
Moving on to
I'm
yeah,
just a little concerned
yeah,
about one thing, Shashank.
yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, we are providing all this
yeah.
data. So how do I ensure that my data is always private, right? So uh, even connect talking to these data sources, I
Yeah.
don't want it to go over internet. So can I
Yeah.
use private link to do that and have my Gen AI applications go privately over private link? Because I
Okay.
don't really want to use the internet. Can I do that?
Quite not sure about that. I like to park it up as of now. I'll have to check
Okay.
that and get back to you on it, right?
Sure. Sure.
And let me come to the security part. We'll talk about the security, things out there,
Okay.
right? So
Great.
I'm parking this one particular question of yours,
Sure,
and
sure.
one was extensions which are supported by knowledge base. Cool. Okay. Now moving further, like as I said, we can break down a complex task into small, small things. That is what agents can do it for you. They understand what you're looking out for. They understand the user input. They understand the user intent. Based on that, decompose it into small, small tasks. Now, if I want to create a claim, right? So if I want to create a claim, I want to create a claim ID. I want to put it into the database. So there is someone who's calling API gateway. It is going to Lambda. It is going to DynamoDB there in the database and getting the result back to me, right? All these
Okay.
things can be done using agents with minimal
Okay.
lines of code. And that's where agents come into picture.
So Shashank, you're saying I
Yeah,
can even have business logic. So I can have some steps which have business logic, like calling a lambda behind a API, or
yep,
probably go to some third-party API, get some information, then push it to a FM model and do
yep.
something. So I can have that whole orchestration done using the agent, right?
Agents. Yes,
Okay,
yes, yes, yes.
that
Yep.
sounds great. Okay,
Yep. So, which is what I'm just trying to show it here, that you can select the model of your choice. You can
okay,
give the basic instructions, your business logic, and all those things. Where do I get that data from? What all those data sources are, and how do I trigger them, or how do I connect them? All those things can be done. And likewise, you were asking behind chain of thought. It comes here. You can do this chain
okay.
of thoughts, and based on my user intent. So basically, when I'm talking to the virtual agent in my insurance,
Hmm.
I want to create a new claim. It will go to Lambda, create a new claim. If I say
Right.
that, what is the status of that claim? It will go to get claim update, right? If I
Okay.
upload images, then it will trigger what? It will trigger ingestion of the documents into S3. It will trigger the knowledge base part where the data is getting updated and all, right? So depending
Right.
upon what you're selecting, that particular agent will be called and that particular activities will be done in the
So
background.
the agent can do different types of tasks. What you're saying is it doesn't have to just do one task. It is
No.
intelligent enough. Like say if
Yep.
it's like a travel booking site.
Yep.
Sometimes I would want to make a booking. Sometimes I just
Yep.
want to see my booking status. So it
Yes.
will be intelligent enough to know what to do, right?
Yes.
Based on what you're
Yes.
saying as the
Yes.
intent of the user. That's
Yes,
awesome.
yes,
Okay.
yes. So what I'm going to do is, Panna, I'm just going to quickly show you one of the
Yeah, that will
demos,
be great to
right?
see a demo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm going to show you a small demo about agents in action, and along with that, I'll give a supplementary link for people to go through and read through, which is going to help them understand. If I create an chatty application, which is for insurance domain, and the way we were talking about, it will help them correlate that. Okay. So in the
Okay.
interest of time, I'm giving one demo, and I'll give one reference link for you to
Yeah.
study and dive deep further.
Just one
Yeah.
question, Shashank,
Chalo.
while you are spinning up your demo.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
about malicious prompts, right? I don't want malicious prompts to reach my model, and I don't want malicious or harmful content to be given out
Yep.
also.
Yep.
How do I control that? Are there any such controls and features in Bedrocks which
Yep.
can do this
Come,
filtering?
come, yep. Coming to security one after the demo
Okay,
and quickly run you
sure.
through there. Right.
Okay.
Amazing. One of the great questions once again. And I really appreciate that. Fun. Okay. So what I'll do is, folks, I'm just trying to show you what all we heard so far. Let's see it in
Hmm.
action. Right. We know one of our fellow associates who is there waiting for me to finish and come on this channel to speak. Right. He's about to join AWS. Right. So assume it's my first day today. It's always day one, we say, right? I'm going to the office. I'm going to an Amazon office for the first day. I want to know what can I wear or what should I wear. I need some recommendations. So think about it as I want some, um, recommendations from Amazon.in. I buy my clothes from Amazon.in based on my previous history, based on what people buy, based on what I have in wardrobe, based on the weather conditions, what should I carry. I want the stylist to, recommend me. So let's see it in action once, right? So we are going to try this demo. Let's start exploring, right? So likewise, I said, I'm going to run you through customer prompts. You're going to run some prompts out there. You're going to send some inputs to your model, and it's going to generate appropriate response for you. We did talk about knowledge bases. That is, it's a managed drag I talked about, right? Agents going to break down complex tasks into small ones, and they will do that business request for you. They will connect to APIs, they will do some actions for you, and so on. We're going to see this in action. Don't worry about it. Cool. So
Great.
this is my stylist. I'm going to tell, hey, this is my first day, or I'm a consultant. I'm heading out to work. What should I wear? Basically in New York, right? So generate a look for me. So it's going to generate a lookbook for me. What it does is it is consuming the product catalog. Product catalog is all the inventory what we have, right? It is a private data, and based on trending, what people are buying, which is a public data, it generated a lookbook for me or a look for me, and I'm just going and seeing that. Have a look. This is just a story. Don't worry much about it. I'm seeing it is generating images for me. It generated the image from the product catalog, text generations from the fashion trend, right? Then it says, what do people like about business formal jacket? This is a suggested prompt which I'm running, right? So it is based on the reviews. It says based on the color, quality of the fabric, based on 325 reviews, right? It says people like these things about the jacket, and they mention it's a lightweight and keeps them warm, right? It is New York. It helps me keep warm, right? Now I'm asking, based on the reviews, can you tell me the quality of jacket, right? I want further dive deep. It will tell me based on one of the user reviews, right? So it says someone has said about this jacket, it makes him feel comfortable, and people did ask him. A recall was there. Where did you get this jacket from? right? Now I'm interested in this jacket, and before I buy, I want to know, should I wear small, medium, large, depending upon my size availability or my previous purchase patterns. So once I select that, right, based on my previous order history, it can even say this blazer M size will suit you the most. Now I'm saying, hey, can you add it to the cart, right? You see these things happening in the background, right?
Hmm.
So based on my order history, it told me size M, and now I said add it to my cart, right, and add the rest of items to my cart. Let it do it. Okay, previous purchases, it did it for me. Okay,
So,
all
Shashank,
this,
adding to
yeah,
the cart meaning there's that agent is getting invoked behind, right? Which is going to actually go and do all of that. And all these images is coming from those knowledge bases, is
it's
what I
coming from the
understand,
product
right?
catalog, which was your
Yeah,
internal
makes
one,
sense now.
and
Yeah.
this is your again in private one, which was your order history. So I tailored
Okay.
based on your buying patterns, your choices, and now while I'm finalizing it, have a look, right? See, it's that's a more fun. Now, what it will do is see this based on the weather API, it is telling me tomorrow the
Oh,
climate
okay.
would be raining and it may be chill. You want to add a jacket or you want to add an umbrella. I'm like, add an umbrella, but this got from weather API, and then I just that's all. It's my cart which is looking like, and you can customize it further. There is without taking names, I would say there is a brand in India which is using generative AI so as to create a lookbook for their customers, male and female. So assume Shashank in mid 30s, he wants to go to corporate. He loves to wear subtle tones. Generate a lookbook for him. It will even show these are the clothes that are in your wardrobe. These are the clothes you may like to style it up. Right?
Okay.
These are the things which you may like to buy. Right?
Personalization, yeah.
Personalization. Now, if I'm creating, a garment for men, I want to take feedback from my purchasing customers. I can show them a
Hmm.
mock-up, and I can pre-order, take pre-orders from them, and that's how you can avoid garment wastage as well. So
Okay. Makes
Gen
sense.
AI, it can be used for too many things like this. This is just one of the illustrations where your knowledge base and everything was in action.
Yeah, I
Then,
think this is an amazing demo, Shashank, because
thank you.
this shows all of them in use, right? It used
Yep,
knowledge
yep,
bases, there's the
yep,
agent, and it
yep.
combined a chatbot also. So, I
Yes,
mean, we don't need anybody to do any of this.
yeah,
It's just
yes,
this
and
Bedrock is
yeah,
doing that. Yeah.
yeah. And this is one of the lengthy ones, but this is one of the great ones. If you're planning for Gen AI examination, I recommend people to watch this video at least, give this a read. It will help you understand what I was talking about. Hey Shashank, can you create a new claim? What is the update about this claim? Can you gather the evidence for this one? If your vehicle is damaged by any chance, and the insurance agent comes and clicks picture, they will add an estimate. You want to know what that estimate is about. You could automate all these things, right? And you can see it in action. I have it configured on my own Isengard, own AWS account, but you can do it on your account also. Or if you don't want to do all of these things, just see this vlog or watch this video. It will help you understand about knowledge base agents in action in insurance domain.
Great. We'll share this link with the team
Surely.
as well. Yeah.
Surely, surely. Cool. Okay, I'll come back to my slides, right? So this is what was all about the Bedrock agents, right?
Hmm.
Now, I did hear many times security, 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 right?
Yeah.
So yes, malicious prompts is coming in from bad. Someone is trying to jailbreak, someone is trying to slide in bad prompts or doing a prompt injection attack. You can stop it using Bedrock Guardrails. Okay,
Okay.
so basically, it is going to help you out to reduce hallucinations, 75% by up to 75%, right? So, what would be an example, right? When I'll use Bedrock Guardrails, assume I'm creating a small application which is generating stories for children. I don't want anyone to add a bad prompt to the model and let the
Right.
model generate adult content or use non-parliamentary words, right? So I want the model to revolve around certain topics. I want to say
Right.
these are the denied topics. These are the stop words. You should not generate these
Yeah.
things, right? Or think about in terms of finance domain. I created a financial advisor, but someone says I have 10 lakhs or 1 million in hand, and I want that 1 million to double up by 3 million at the end of the day. Can you recommend top 10 stocks for me? What
Right.
if the model responded and you invested instead of 1 million, it turned it into zero? Well, come and sue me. So I
Right.
don't want my model to, respond to certain prompts, and I want to stop those harmful content to a great extent. You'll use Amazon Bedrock guardrails out there, right? And
Right.
if there is any PI data you want to block that is coming in upcoming futures, But I would say you can reduce great amount of hallucinations by doing a ground check there and improve the responses of the model. Does that help,
Great.
Perna, somewhere down the line?
Of course, definitely. So you're saying even
Yeah.
guardrail, even the output that the model is giving, it can filter the PI because it has been trained with a lot of data, right? So there could be some PI in there also. So it will filter even the output, right? Not only the input, both,
Yep.
right?
And
Okay.
till last I knew it was in the user inputs only and the FM
Okay.
responses as well, which you asked,
Okay.
right? But
Okay.
I knew it was in preview. So far,
Okay.
so good. I'll say it's in the pipeline as of now, as per my knowledge. Yeah.
Great.
But
Great.
in
Okay.
input output, both can be controlled. Yeah.
Okay, this is awesome. Now
Okay.
comes to my final question,
Yeah.
Shashank. And
Yeah.
now I know a lot
Yeah.
about Bedrock, but how much
Yeah.
do I need to pay? So I also want
Yeah.
to know about
Okay.
how do you charge your what are the
Surely.
charges, things like that,
Surely.
right? What's the payment
Surely.
model? Yeah.
Surely. So before I come there, which is
Hmm.
exactly on the next slide, let me cover a little about security since we're talking about it, right?
Hmm.
So, likewise, I said, Amazon Bedrock is going to help you keep your data, application, and data both secure and private. Cool. So,
Okay.
likewise, I said earlier, we do not use your data to fine tune your model. So, whenever your model is being fine tuned, your data is with you. Whenever you're fine tuning it, it's put in a secure container only accessible by you. All the data is encrypted in transit as well as at the rest, right? Okay.
Okay.
And the data remains in the region where your API has been processed. And Bedrock
Okay.
is in conformant with all this, FedRAM, GDPR, as well as all of the regulatory standards out there. Cool. So you're safe, is what I want to say. Your data is safe, and feel free to leverage this particular service. Cool,
Yeah.
irrespective of 1P, 3P models. And coming to the pricing, right, Parna? So
Hmm.
basically, pricing depends upon your number of input and output tokens. You need to measure the
Okay.
tokens out there. So
Hmm.
I would definitely say for the people who are practicing for upcoming exams, what is token, what is hallucination? These things are really good terms to know. And now, if I
Hmm.
talk about inference, Parna, to respond to your question, you can go for on demand for the workloads which are unpredictable in nature. That is on the left hand side. If it is unpredictable one, variable workloads, better to go for on demand. And if you know I'm going to have is like consistent high volume workload, at that time you go for provision throughput. Right
Okay.
now,
And for my customized models, Shashank, can I
very right
use on
question.
demand?
Very right question. For a customized one, again, you will have to go for provision throughput because
Okay.
you want a
Okay.
custom model, you want a guaranteed performance, you want a fixed cost, and you want exclusive access. So you will go for provision throughput there at that particular point of time.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
Parna?
So I
The last,
understand
yeah,
tokens, right? You said the cost is based on the tokens
we need to measure on tokens, input
and the
tokens, output
requests,
tokens.
if I'm not wrong, because we are
Number
making
of
the API.
request, number of request or number of tokens that will matter if you're going in on demand.
Okay.
That is a
Okay.
request per minute or number of tokens per minute.
Okay. And in
And if you know
provision, I
that,
get some discount. Is that based
yes,
something like what we
yes,
have reserved instances, something like
yes,
that, based
yes,
on the duration?
yes.
Okay.
So the choice of words was you get a guaranteed performance, how much you wanted. You are
Okay.
committing to the fixed capacity, but you're getting it at potentially lower cost. So that is when
Okay.
provision throughput will come into picture, right? And the very
Great.
last one before I end, if you are getting large number of requests, you want to aggregate those responses and analyze in batch. At that time, you're going to use batch inference, which comes into picture. Cool. Okay. So this
Okay.
was all about pricing per hour. Does that help?
Yeah, that definitely helps.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. The last slide of all, I promise. So, likewise, Parna, you were asking me that,
Hmm.
Shashank, I don't know much of AWS console. I don't know much of,
Right.
AWS machine learning expertise. Then this is where you need to go. Bedrock Studio is a web-based interface. It is specifically meant for rapid prototyping for
Okay.
developers, so as to build, evaluate, and share generative AI applications. Okay, so
Great.
everything which I talked about, foundation model, knowledge base, agent, guardrails, collaborations, experimenting without having those in-depth knowledge, it's going to help you out there. Cool.
That really helps. Yeah, we can
Yeah,
really get started quickly.
sure,
Yeah.
sure. Thank you. So thanks
Thank
everyone
you.
for joining us today. Yep, and I
Yeah,
hope this
thank you so
helps you.
much, Shashank. That was really
Sure.
helpful, and I think it was helpful for the team also to understand the capabilities of Bedrock. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
I'm
You're
on
on
mute, I
mute.
guess. So interesting demo, Shashank, and now I know where I have to go for my next wardrobe. So good one. Thanks everyone. And there were questions which we were able to answer. Some of them, if something is remains unanswered, put them into the Discord channel and we'll respond back there. But yeah, it was interesting. And what we did today was just talk about basics of what Bedrock can do. There are a lot of capabilities inside it, and it is evolving. It is a product which is having lots and lots of new changes coming up. There are workflows, there are automation coming up. So the idea is that AWS wants to ensure that machine learning becomes like a standard thing which anyone can use. It should not be just limited to highly technical or highly statistical people. That's what AWS is trying, and Bedrock is one of the service which makes the interfacing much easier. Similarly, there is Party Rock which you could use, but yeah, we will discuss more things as we move forward. So thanks, Shashank. Thanks, Parna. Too many questions and too many great answers there. So it was really nice, and hopefully everyone has learned something new out of it.